Riftbound's Western release is finally here. We're talking release events, product allocation issues, and a little bit about the Shanghai Regional. All that and more on this week's episode of The Winning Point.
Do you remember what we're doing, Blevins?
No, I don't. But I am. You see, you thought you could get me. You thought you could get me with a third restart, but you're not going to get me. But you are going to get me to start The Winning Point, episode number 22. We're going to be talking about Riftbound because the game is finally out. I am Blevins. That's Casanova. That's Charmer. What's up, friends?
Yeah, the game is out. You've been talking about the games you're getting to play in paper. I have not gotten to play in paper very much yet at all. I was busy co-streaming the Shanghai National Open all weekend, so I am a little EP, but I am hoping that I get to go actually play a bit of Riftbound this week. I've got some Nexus Night plans coming up. I think tomorrow, as of recording this tomorrow, I will have a Nexus Night I can do, but today I might even go to a shop with some starter decks and try and teach my partner how to play, because I think they're a little bit interested in learning, so that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I did not get to attend the release event, unfortunately, because both of the stores closest to me did theirs on Halloween, and as a father of two children, it was kind of required that I take the kids trick-or-treating. But I also have a couple of Nexus Nights coming up, and I'm very excited for that. Did get to open some packs, and no, I don't mean the ones that we opened for Invasion. I meant, packs of my own, and it was very nice. There's nothing like ripping fresh cardboard. I know some people were a little upset at the amount of product they could or couldn't get, so I'm just going to tease folks and open packs while we're here live in case we get anything good.
A fresh
and
pack?
Nothing. Yes, I got 5 more. I saved them just for the tournament.
There you go.
Love it. I obviously was not at Invasion and didn't get to open up 1,500 packs. I just opened up 1,500 of my own packs at my house and didn't record any of it. So take that, angry people.
Why are we rage-baiting?
It's the Kaisa of content in 2025.
Is rage bait. Yeah.
Is rage bait and reacting content. But before we get into all this rage bait and reacting, we of course have a little bit of housekeeping here. Of course, make sure, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button to the channel here on Term Sideways, not just for The Winning Point, not just for all the other awesome videos like the 1,500 pack opening at Invasion, but also because we are going to be live in Las Vegas in November for the SCG 10K Riftbound event. We're going to be producing it, putting it on right here on the channel. So if you want the live coverage of the SCG 10K and to see many of your favorite Turn 'em Sideways and other awesome casters and content creators that who knows what we're going to do. You can never really know when it comes to what we're doing or anything that I have anything to do with.
Especially with
it can go off the rails.
You really don't know what he's going to do.
That's the most accurate thing I think he's ever said.
We come in with a script every day, but we really don't know what's going to happen. At the end of the
there will be
day,
a script. I will eat that script and then start talking about how much I don't like New Jersey. Anyway, last bit of housekeeping here is many of you have asked for Apple Podcasts, and you could be listening to it right now on Apple Podcasts. The Winning Point is now on Apple by popular demand. And even more important than that, even more important than any of this, if you don't care about the broadcast, you don't care about the podcast, that's fine. I mean, it's not fine, but you should be getting in our giveaway because we're giving away some Arcane promo boxes for from the English release. Those have become quite sought after. I've been looking at the resale prices on some of those, but even outside of that, it's of course early. People don't physically have them, so I don't know why there's been so much exchange of hands, but people are really enjoying those. They're really awesome, and you can get some for free just by joining that giveaway. Link is in the description. But enough yapping about that from me. Let's talk about the release I got to play in a few different release events, had a lot of fun in those. It was, I gotta say, many people were talking about how Victor was clear and far and away the best deck to pick for the release events, and that was just not right. It was Lee Sin, and I don't think it was close. It was the only deck I lost to across multiple events.
I felt like Lee Sin was looking pretty strong when I was doing the reviews of the starter deck. I also thought that Jinx looked stronger than people were saying. I think Jinx is probably a little bit harder to play and maybe needs some little help out of the packs than the other two decks too. I was hoping I'd get to play some release events, so I didn't get experience for myself on that. So I'm going with what people are saying, but I do think that there are some players out there who still did have plenty of success with Jinx, and even though she's been a little bit less popular, I think people worried about the legend ability being tough to get online because you got a little bit too much of the top end stuff. But yeah, I mean, Lee Sin being strong is not that surprising to me. I think they're relatively balanced overall across the three decks, though. It didn't feel like anyone could like not win if you pick a certain starter deck. It felt more like it's going to be a lot of skill gapping and knowledge gapping because like it's a release event, and if you've played the game a bunch before, you probably had a pretty big advantage no matter what deck you're playing.
Yeah, I'll say this about the Lee Sin deck. I think that it probably shines the most out of the three without needing extra help, which is probably why it feels like it's the strongest. I also think that the kind of top end is just slightly better with the Lee Sin deck, and I think that helps it out a lot as well. In a powered down format, right? If you're in a limited format, you're usually trying to make use of cards that are not normally going to be seen in competitive play, but could still be potentially strong. And that Lee Sin list just has a lot of things that has a pretty high might value for what you're playing it for without a lot of gimmicks or hoops to jump through to get there. So I really do feel like that's probably why it felt like it shined over the weekend.
Yeah. It also had a lot of accelerate or pseudo accelerate, with first mate and, Wild Claw Shaman, I think is the name of the card that just takes a buff, readies itself, and just you're not really expecting that much accelerate out of a limited deck or a starter deck, and it just had it, as well as like the challenges and other sort of removal and interaction spells, which was really good. Outside of a couple of key cards, it was just hard to deal with a big unit if you got past a certain turn. I played with both Victor and Jinx on separate occasions, and both of them needed to win by a certain point, or you just had no chance against Lee Sin. The units were just pound for pound better. If they ever got a chance to clear your board, even if they did it over a couple of turns, it was just it's just impossible to rebuild your board. For Jinx specifically, the thing for me that was sort of an unlock was I just cut the scrap heaps. I think that was a card that people were like, oh, I can discard it and redraw a card. It's like, you could also play a real card and draw from Jinx, which you're like giving up the ability to draw from Jinx if you discard the scrap heap, and it was just not good. So it was the first card I cut. I got a couple of the 2 cost Poros in both red and purple, so that sort of filled out the early curve. And the games that I won with Jinx were just, I got multiple points ahead. I used the fighter flights and gusts for tempo and basically got like another turn or half a turn ahead from there. And then as they started to make their run back, I was able to have a one well-placed fighter flight to seal the game. Or I did get a foil ride the wind. So I did have the backdoor Vi ride the wind possibility. Unfortunately, I didn't get to pull it off, but it was there in case. If I would have really been thinking about it, I would have played to that out rather than the very greedy hold Jinx versus Lee Sin, which spoiler alert, did not work out. It just got completely dumpstered by the fact that my opponent read what ganking was, and the fact that one of the abilities that Udyr gets by using a buff is ganking, which I did not know. But overall, super fun event.
Morphling's good.
Yeah, it turns out that it is. I also I'll talk about the other game that I played in a second here when we talk about a new product that was released. But first, I wanted to ask you both about your local areas in terms of product allocation? Because I know that has been a topic that a lot of people have been talking about. I've heard sort of the full spectrum of, hey, you know, we had a decent amount of product. People were able to buy stuff. People were able to pre-order, to literally no events in my area fired because there wasn't enough product and people had to go home. So, Cass, what was your what was the word on the street where you were locally?
Locally, like, I would say that they got enough, but it's like flown off the shelves, right? Like, it's like there was a lot, but TCGs are very popular where I am locally, and so it immediately is just like selling out everywhere. There's a couple places that they're holding back. They're limiting how much product people can buy, so they still have some product going through. But it seemed like there was no issue firing release events. Like, tons of release events fired over the weekend. There wasn't too much problems with release events selling out though, so people were like able to still go play. Like, they had enough starter decks for people to come play. But there has been some allocation stuff with the Nexus Knights packs and some of the other things that have been. I've heard rumblings of issues, but I don't have the exact details. I'm going to be able to interface more with my local community this week, right? Because this last week, with launch being same time as the Shanghai National Open, I was a little indisposed, so I haven't had as big a chance to go in. But what I've been hearing from the local Discords and everything is that nobody's had a huge problem being able to at least get their hands on some aspects of the game so far from the local shops.
Yeah, my situation has been, I think, pretty well, or pretty good, pretty well. I don't know. My brain ain't braining, so I'm having a hard time with the English. But the reality is that there's a handful of stores in my immediate area that are going to be carrying the game. I actually joined a Discord for the entire state of Michigan for playing Riftbound, coordinating events, etc. So if you're somebody who's from Michigan, you can just hit me up and I can get you an invite link to that. But for the stores that are closest to me, both of them officially sold out for what they were offering to the public because they were going to reserve a certain amount of product for events. So they will be prize packs, they will be things for sealed, etc. But they took pre-orders, they fulfilled pre-orders, they had some stock available, and then they sold out. I was able to get 2 boxes from one of them, and they did not upcharge me or anything. It was just listed MSRP. So very happy with the experience overall. And it does not appear that we're going to have any issues with finding a player base because there seems to be a lot of people interested.
Yeah, that's awesome. In the UK, it's been a little bit of a mixed bag. I think I've gone to about 3 or 4 stores so far, and I've heard rumblings from other stores as well. And it seems like some of the stores were a bit of late adopters. Some of the stores that I did not talk to early on or didn't hear back from, I think were late adopters and didn't get as much product as they would have liked to have had now that they see how popular the game is. Which is understandable. If you didn't get in early, you're not going to get the allocation, right? But a couple of the stores, I was able to secure a few boxes from a few different places, which was great. And I literally just got back from a local event that had about 25 people playing at it, which
it's amazing.
Might not be a lot depending on where you are, but I'm in central Scotland. So, and I've done some demos where there were 2 people there. So, and I was one of them. So I didn't really know what to expect. Oh yeah. 20 is big.
Like, and almost anywhere you are, like 25 for a games local is like, like that's a solid local.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which is really awesome. And I think a lot of people were having a lot of fun. It was very much the welcoming vibe that I think is the meta now for games these days, which is awesome. People were asking a lot of questions because it turns out that Riftbound is actually a bit more of a complicated game when you actually start seeing the non-starter deck cards. And that's great because that means people are interested and excited. I'm now 3 for 3 on having gone to events where a new player opens a pack, turns the cards around to me and says, "Is this any good?" And it's an overnumbered legend or signature legend. Like 3 times that's happened, which is awesome because it's like, yeah, you just opened the best possible thing. This literally just happened. A guy comes up to me, shows me, he goes, "Is this card important?" And it's literally a signature Victor. I go, "That is the most important card you could open." And they go, "Oh, well, I just play Magic. What does this mean? Explain it to me in Magic terms." I'm like, "You just opened a serialized card out of a play booster."
Yep.
And they're like, and the eyes like light up, and they're like, "I need to put this into a sleeve right now." So
Yep.
like that sort of like it. There's no pretense to it. There's nothing jaded about it. It's not, it's just pure unadulterated excitement and fun for a new game in a new community, and it's just been awesome. This whole experience has been amazing. So let us know in the comments how your release events, what's the community like in your area? What was were you able to get product, etc.? We want to hear about it, because it's a global picture that we're painting here. But in that vein, all of this sort of ties into card prices. And if you look at the singles market right now, I will say there are some hot singles in your area, but they are very expensive right now. We're seeing some epic cards. Charmer's leaving the show. Yeah. We're seeing some epic cards that are pushing $100 in terms of TCG market price. We're seeing rare cards like Thousand-Tailed Watcher be over $20 a piece. And Cass, what are your initial thoughts on the singles market?
The epics I get with the pull rates and how, allocation has been tough and maybe not enough boxes out there. And I think it sucks that the prices are this high. But, you still compare it to Magic, Flesh and Blood. It's still cheaper than some of these games, which is just, besides the point. We want this game to be as close to Pokemon as we can get it, right? As far as price would be the hope. Maybe One Piece is a more realistic target. And I think Riot recognizes this. This is not what they wanted. They want this game to be really affordable. They've gone on record many times saying that they want it to be affordable. And they have multiple waves planned, so these prices will go down. Rares being $30 is crazy to me, unless you have to have the cards to play an event. Play a budget deck for now and go have fun with the game. You don't need to play the best deck in the room for your Nexus Knights. Those rares, there is no way rares stay at $30. I mean, come on, it's 2 rares guaranteed per pack. So the more packs are opened, these rares are dropping. Everything should drop. This is just kind of start of any set or start of TCG stuff happening, and especially because Riftbound is so incredibly popular, and while it seems like they actually did print a lot of product, it still just was not enough compared to the popularity of the game.
Yeah, I think the thing that has surprised me the most, if I'm being entirely honest, is the cards that are unique to Proving Grounds are also very expensive on the single side. Specifically the stuff for Yi, and that's to be expected because it's a really popular deck. But even the anti-champion cards, for example, are like $5 a pop. And for something that's meant to be, an intro starter product, that just feels very wild to me.
Yeah.
I think Proving Grounds was maybe a little underprinted, actually. I think that sometimes intro product, but it doesn't make sense to underprint like intro product when it's the game is releasing. Like, this is the teach you to how to play the game intro product. But I guess I understand that intro product will never be for every single player that wants to try and get with a game. So it does feel like a lot of people have been saying they can't find Proving Grounds. I couldn't find it. I do not have my Proving Grounds. I could not find it.
I do not have one either. I had the exact same thing. I was able to buy booster displays, but they were out of Proving Grounds at every location.
Yeah, I think that Cass, you hit the nail on the head. Like, if you're not preparing or needing the cards for like a Houston regional qualifier level event or a SCG Vegas or a big event, like, just play, like, having the perfect optimized deck to win that extra booster at your local event is not going to be worth spending $30 on a Thousand-Tailed Watcher. You don't need to do it. In the same vein, like, I do think a lot of these things that we're seeing, the prices being higher than we would expect, some of the almost, like, it's not quite market manipulation, but just like the fact that, like, the rares are the biggest thing for me. Like, the math just doesn't math in terms of how not rare they are. And the price of packs just doesn't make sense for that. But
All right.
this will be fixed eventually. It's just the problem is we're not seeing it yet. The biggest thing to me that is sort of that they really dropped the ball on is that proving grounds. Like not having enough proving grounds really does hurt.
Well, so I was just curious because I'd only been really looking at like the epics or some of the cards that were specific, but we're doing this live. This was not a planned segment, by the way. Right now, as we record this on TCG Player, the cheapest Master Yi Legend is $55. So to just play the deck, you need that. So
yeah.
What are we even doing here?
Please never buy that.
Yesterday.
I don't.
Please
Whoever
never buy
just
that.
don't.
Yeah.
Really? No.
Stay out.
That's
Play
how
a
much.
different deck. Even if you're going to
Isn't
Houston.
that more than like proving grounds is like MSRP?
Yes.
That's more than MSRP for the whole proving. That's disgusting. Yeah. I mean, come on.
Yeah, and to be clear, like it does make sense that it makes some sense that they didn't want to overprint the proving grounds product. If we go with and also, you can see in the background, I do have a proving grounds box. So pay no attention to the man behind the green curtain. But they Riot designed the proving grounds box to not be competitively viable, right? So if we go in with that assumption, right, when they made the product, they're like, oh, this isn't going to be competitively viable. It's going to be, they make products like this for Magic that sit in like Barnes and Noble shops and other big box stores that are there for like, oh, this is a big cool picture for someone who doesn't know anything about the game. Oh, I'm going to buy this as like a board game almost, right? And those things for local game stores probably sit on the shelves and rot away a lot of the time. So they don't want to produce a bunch of them because the local game stores are going to lose trust in the products that they're selling to them or to the distributors. And the local game stores maybe didn't want to over-index on these secondary products if they could be like, yeah, I don't want any of that. Just give me nothing but boxes. So I think we're seeing the ramifications of that. It just so happens that you need Master Yi and Annie to play those decks, obviously, and some of the cards in it. So it's really egregious right now. I do think that what will likely happen, if I had to guess, is that we're going to see a big, whenever that next wave of proving grounds comes in, we're going to see a lot of them. And then honestly, probably what I explained is going to happen. There's going to be a lot of them on the shelves because people are going to be like, yeah, I don't need this anymore. I already have my Master Yi.
That's the question that I have is actually when they were talking about the next wave of product, I actually don't remember seeing anything about printing more proving grounds.
They've not publicly said anything about it that I've seen, at least.
I hope that they do. I actually think this would be a massive miss from Riot if they don't try and like order for more of that to be printed, because they are recognizing these. They're watching. They see this. This is not what they want. They want everything to be cheaper. And proving grounds they already kind of have their issues with because it was intended to be beginner product and not be competitively viable, and yet here we are. So one of the biggest regrets that Dave had mentioned previously about it was that you can't get these cards in the main set because, the plan, of course, is fine, right? The plan is they're not good enough to be in the main set. But the problem is now that they are, he's not so upset that Master Yi is a good character that people can pick up their starter product and then play it all the way through this set. He's more upset that now you can't get Yi in the main set, and it's supposed to be a competitively viable thing. So if they can't get more proving ground out, that is that starts to become really scary. And I mean, look, I still don't think your Master Yi Legend should ever be $50, but that would become the point where the proving grounds decks would end up being more expensive than everything else after that second wave of reprints come through.
Yeah, I know it's tough. Oh, go ahead, Charmer.
I know time at the printer is tough in the TCG market right now, but if I was Riot and I could prioritize anything, I might consider trying to rush in a batch of proving grounds specifically for the Houston event and making sure that whatever vendors are there have them with the, intention that they're going to be sold on location at MSRP, so that anybody who can't get a hold of that stuff and wants to play those decks would have the opportunity. I don't think that they're going to have enough time because that's a really short turnaround for like the TCG space. But if there was ever like a good faith gesture you could do, that would be, I think, one way to tackle it.
I wonder if they would ever allow, like, you can use your Lee Sin as Master Yi for insert this event.
No, I think they'd be more likely, honestly, to just the other route that you could go, because I've played in a lot of card games where you get stuff when you show up at the event, right? You get cool promos and whatever. You could just print Master Yi promos as like, this was your promo for the event.
Yeah, but then those become $1,000 each, right? And then the people that don't go to those events get upset, and it's. I agree. I think I would like to see it at like the local game store level, right? Like instead of the 15th Teemo promo, like, hey, pick Annie or Annie or Master Yi. You get one of the, or pick or Garen or Lux. Sure, we'll lump them all in there. You get one of those for participating in a Nexus Nights or local or whatever. I think that would be cool. I did want to. I pulled the prices relatively recently. We're seeing like pushing $100 on Aurora. We're seeing Dead Bloom Predator at about 100. Like, this is, it's insane. It is absolutely insane. But yeah, let us know what you've experienced with prices. Is it something that you're willing to cope with? Because I know we wanted to see this game be affordable. I will say it here. This type of thing, not at this scale because the game just came out, but this type of thing happens with every release of every new set for every game, or at least for Magic, right? We see, if you look at like Modern Horizons 3, the pre-order prices for that set were absolutely insane. If you see it for any set, absolutely insane. And then it generally levels out to be something that's relatively predictable with a few exceptions every few sets. This is a little bit different because we don't know, like, the supply question is a bit up in the air, but I, at least anecdotally, have seen more supply in the in at least my local community than a lot of people were expecting. I think a lot of people were pleasantly surprised. Obviously, in certain pockets, it's not going to be the case. But Riot has publicly stated that it is an issue that is on their mind and that they are looking to remedy as soon as possible. So we shall see how that plays out, and we'll keep some updates up for you as things update there. One last thing that I want to talk about before we get into the Shanghai National event is we got a new product that we had revealed here. It is the sealed, I don't know, for some reason I was thinking it was the holiday box, but it's a sealed. Do we know the name, Cass, of it?
Oh, it's like a sealed tournament box. Basically, it's like an encapsulated. Okay. Like, you can play sealed with just that box. So it comes with
sealed box. There we go.
It says 4 sealed tournament decks, so it's 6 packs for each person, right?
Yep.
96 rune cards, so that you have all the runes that you could possibly need. It has a pack of sleeves and then 4 dice. So the idea is that you can just buy this, and then you and 4 friends can play Riftbound sealed without needing to buy a box, and then you won't have enough runes in that box to even play sealed, right? So this is actually giving you, just in one product, you can play sealed. Because I think generally to play sealed in Riftbound, you actually need like your box of runes that you have to actually properly play. You can't just buy a box of Riftbound and nothing else and play sealed, because you won't have the runes. So this is a really nice way to kind of get around that, right? You've got your 6 packs each, you've got your runes, and you can just buy this and you can play sealed with your friends, which is amazing. And the reason that's the most amazing is because sealed is so fucking good in this game. It is like, limited is actually so good. I can't wait for when we finally get draft rules, but who cares, because sealed is so good. The only time I got to play sealed, I played it when we were up at Invasion with our buddy Nia, who's a teammate of mine from Flesh and Blood as well, and we decided to play a little sealed against each other, and it was some of the most fun I have had playing card games in a very, very long time. I ended up playing Volibear with a splash of blue, and my chosen champion was Tryndamere. And because I had blue as my splash alongside Volibear's red and orange, I got to play a Cathian Rain in my Volibear deck with a Tryndamere Chosen Champion in this limited environment, and it was just like so much fun.
Yeah, that's amazing. Have you experienced sealed or limited at all, Charmer?
I've experienced it vicariously through Cass's stories, but no, I haven't had a chance to play it. I'm really looking forward to it. Limited is always my favorite way to play just about any card game. I enjoy the kind of puzzle of trying to play with underpowered cards or find synergies that get you things that would be good value in a limited environment that might not be playable in a constructed environment, that sort of thing. I'm also really looking forward to future sets because I'm hoping at some point we get not just, sealed supported, but draft as well. And I'm really looking forward to drafting this game in particular because there is, I think, a lot of decision making based on the color system, right? Because things could be in your color, but might not want to fit the rune count that you're going for, things like that. And I don't know. I'm excited for the future for sure.
Yeah, I got to play a sealed free-for-all, and it was amazing. I posted the picture on Twitter, but it was my Anivia was at a battlefield. There was a player across from me had a battlefield with, 20 might worth of units on that battlefield, a bunch of smaller units. Third player plays Charm on my Anivia to attack the massive battlefield and just completely wipes everything out. And I'm
amazing.
like, this was so cool. And like, couldn't have happened. I got to play King's Edict. I top decked King's Edict in a situation where literally no other card was going to save anything because we needed to it was two players out and we needed to destroy multiple things from the one player to keep them from winning on their turn. And it was like those cards are playable. Like it's awesome. Sealed was awesome. Free for all was awesome. I was very happy.
It's why Blev, like, we didn't get to do this in Toronto like I initially wanted to, and I think we'll try and make a video of it at some point if we can get some product to do so. I forgot to save a box for this, so we'll have to figure it out later. But playing in my brain 2v2 full box sealed, like you have everybody makes their sealed decks and plays 2v2 with it. Sounds so much fun, and this is a way that you could even facilitate that as well, because multiplayer with sealed is like, I mean, as you're saying, right, you had an experience doing it with the free-for-all, but you can play all the multiplayer formats with sealed. Using the sealed rules, it just opens up even more crazy options that already this multiplayer format is doing, because you don't need it to be sealed for you to get that Charm Anivia from a third party to happen, but the fact that it could happen in sealed from your deck, someone's deck who normally wouldn't have green available, being able to do it, but they have it because of the extra color is really, really cool to have as well.
Yeah, it's really awesome. The one thing I'm wondering about this product is, what is the price of it? How much more than a box does this cost? Yeah. Because it gives you the runes, but like I
probably have enough runes.
I've got them now. I don't need those anymore. And like 4 dice, not really willing to pay a premium on them. And the sleeves, maybe the sleeves are cool, but also not really wanting to buy those. So I'm not sure how much I am in on this as a product. I hope that it's well received. Maybe there's something about it that I'm missing. The box looked really cool, and I kind of am in on paying a premium for a cool box, but I guess
I'm in on the concept of people playing more sealed. Them printing more Riftbound packs in this product so people get them to play sealed. I am entirely with you, where if it costs a lot more than a box, I am pretty turned off by the product. Like,
I'm also
I would
kind of
be
turned
pretty
off
upset
by the product if it costs almost any amount more than a box.
I mean, it would need to be like literally $10 to $15 more than a box for me to not be, like, I would wish it was just a box at that point. But
I won't get into the whole like product marketing thing, because now my brain is is
No, we
winding
got more
at like, who
topics.
this is for. So
We got more topics.
Yes, we do have more topics like the Shanghai National Tournament. Cass, you lived and breathed this one. I got to come in at the end and act like I was there the whole time, even though I was there for a very small portion of it comparatively. But walk us through, Cass. What was that? What was the event like? How did this differ from the other Chinese tournaments that we've seen leading up to this?
As always, the visuals were amazing. This was even more players. There was a 2048 cap. It was lottery system again. It was well over that cap of people trying to get in. However, they did end up under cap at the actual event, just people no-showing after winning the lottery. All of the waitlisters did get in, and they were just underneath the actual cap of 2048. This was a $30,000 prize pool alongside a championship ring. It was the debut of best of prizing, so the meta did shake up quite a bit because of that. We had, for instance, 16 Garens in the tournament. Now, none of them did particularly well, but they were fighting for that best of prizing. The rest of everything else, like the spread was a little different. You know, you had more of each of the other things. But at the end of the day, it was all Kaisa Yi. And the third deck was Victor, whose meta share was shaved at even more once again and converted poorly once again. But there was at least somewhat of a rise of some decks that we had seen basically no success from. Both Lee Sin and Yasuo made day 2. These were 2 of the, I believe, 4 legends that had not previously made a day 2 at any of the other 4 events. We got to see some of both of those decks on stream, and we could see how they were able to gain some equity. The Lee Sin deck was very aggressive and actually was playing Dragon Rages to beat Aurora decks. And then the Yasuos were very slow and methodical and controlling and trying to find ways to get wins. We didn't get to see it against Kaisa. That was my worry, was maybe it would struggle against Kaisa, but a lot of counter spells in the deck to potentially get around that. And we also got to see this new version of Teemo in China that's been kind of running around for a little bit. China's really liked Teemo for some time as a Yi counter, but now they've got this kind of all-in Mundo. The really big key units are Ember Monk and Mundo, and then they use Tide Turner to help move those giant bodies around the map when they're defending. And it was a very impressive list. There was one Teemo able to make top 16, though there's more on that later. Overall, though, it was an impressive deck with a decent conversion rate, and I think people should look out for Teemo going forward, almost certainly. But it was an amazing event. We had Ursidae ended up staying with me the entire time. They're a Pokemon Pocket and Pokemon TCG creator that's been trying to get into Riftbound, and they stayed up all night with me watching these events, and we had a ton of fun. At the end of the day, though, Kaisa reigned supreme once more. It was Omega Zero, a Hearthstone competitor with over $100,000 of prize winnings to his name, came in to start some dominance in a new TCG, taking his Kaisa to victory, winning the championship ring, which they had gems of each of the domain colors that they then slotted into the ring once it was won. So he's got red and blue for his ring. But it is something we've talked about for a long time on the pod and just in any of our content. And we're starting to immediately see it come to fruition of players who were very good in other TCGs are going to start showing up in droves and finding some success. We already saw Ace find a couple of top 8s. George, of course, was a Lorcana player who had quite a bit of success, and he was able to win Chongqing. And now here we've got Omega Zero winning the Shanghai National Open, coming from Hearthstone.
So I love the ring. I just want to be on record as saying this. I am a sucker for like novelty trophies of any sort. If it's a cool trophy, then I'm in. I think that the ring, having the gems of whatever your legend is a lot of fun. I like the idea that it's something that you can wear and flex if you're at an event, right? We've all seen in trading card games us having our championship mats or whatever, right? When we're taking it to locals and we're like, oh, look, I did, this at this big event. But if you've got a ring and it's just like staring at you from across the table, right? Maybe the gems are twinkling and the light's shining in your eye. Like that's a new level of mental intimidation. So I just I really like that. I'm also, I'll admit, I'm a sucker for oversized checks. So when we get to Houston, I hope that there's also a giant oversized check for no other reason that it makes me happy. The event coverage, as far as like broadcast quality goes, outstanding. Once again, all of the China events have been killing it. I'm really looking forward to, again, the future of the game in North America, the future of the game in Europe, etc. The only thing that I'll say is this is perhaps a time capsule event. I was thinking about this weekend. All of the major events and all of the, meta and so forth that we've been talking about has all been based on these Chinese tournaments. And we're going to have our first non-Asian tournament when we get to Star City Games for Las Vegas, right? And that will be kind of the water testing, if you will, before Houston, but then Houston's not long after. And it's very common in card games, if you don't cover other card games or follow other card games, to have regional metas. So things that are popular in one side of the planet are not necessarily what's popular on the other. And I'm kind of curious to see if we're still going to see, Kaisa doing well, Yi doing well, or if we're going to see any sort of shakeups. I do expect Kaisa to continue to be a problem just because of the sheer card quality available to that deck. But I would not be surprised if we don't end up seeing a lot more body represented when we get to the North American meta. I think that the orange decks are going to be a bit more popular, and I think that they are powerful enough to compete, but there just hasn't been a lot of, experimentation, I'll say, on the Asian side. So when we get to North America, don't be surprised if like the third and fourth most popular decks are not what they were in China.
I almost fully disagree with Charmer. I think that there may be regional differences, right? Like I do agree that is a thing that happens in TCGs, is regional differences. But I've been talking to a lot of these players from China that have been working towards these events. They're trying everything. There's no lack of experimentation that's happening for each of these legends in China so far. I mean, there maybe could be an argument that there's lack of Leona experimentation or lack of like Lux and Garen pushing of the meta. But like I talked to Chinese players that are pushing Ahri. They thought Ahri was going to be really good coming into this event, and she just didn't convert. There's been Annie being considered maybe in the top 3, and then also kind of falling off. There's been some Yasuo players that have been really trying to push it. Teemo was a big innovation there. And then at the end of the day, it's like they come out and it's like it's just not beating Kaisa. It's just not beating Yi. It's not beating these top 2 decks. Yeah. And whether this can be turned around and there could be even more popularity, or just a player who is just so good on a certain deck in the West, shaking things up and finding a win on something that's not Kaisa and Yi. I mean, I could totally see it. We've seen the online stuff, but the online tournaments don't have stakes. So some of the best players are just bringing whatever the hell they want to play and seeing where that goes. But I think the experimentation's been there. I think we're going to have the same kind of results. But I mean, we got some sickos who have their pet decks that have been doing really well online. Maybe they can convert when they bring it to Houston.
I want to reiterate what I said for my closer cast was that the third and fourth most popular decks will not be the same as they were in China. I still fully expect Kaisa and Yi to be.
So instead of Teemo and it was Ahri last time. Oh, Victor. Teemo and Victor. You think it'll be Set and Darius maybe? Darius has been pretty popular.
I think it'll be like either Set and Hook Darius, or I would not be surprised if we see Yasuo pop up, just because, like, let's be honest, North America, we love our Yasuo. There's a lot of people that will try to force it. And I do think that a methodical control version of Yasuo has the potential to compete. I don't think that it is going to be favored into that Kaisa matchup, but it has the tools to beat it, right? And so sometimes you just need the right hot streak on the day of.
Yeah, I mean, definitely we'll see. There were some really great set players in China that had a lot of success as well, by the way. So if it's even more popular, like prevalent deck with top players in the West, then set might just have even better performances, because the few players who were very strong that we saw playing set did do well. They actually had great turnarounds.
Yeah. I think especially now that we are, like you said, we're seeing stakes for this event, like SCG is a 10K, Houston Regional Qualifier, all that. Like, what we tend to see is the top players, unless they think they have the read on the meta, that there's something undiscovered or that can beat the meta, we're going to see the top players be like, yeah, no, I'm just going to take Kai'Sa because I'm going to be better than everyone else and I'm going to play the best deck better than everyone else. So what's going to beat that? And yes, we are going to see people with their pet decks. It's still going to be Kai'Sa Yi. I will agree with you, Charmer. I do think we'll see a lot more set in North America than in China.
When I get in from the wait list that I'm on, mind you, because they released it during a work day and I'm still salty about that. When I get it on the wait list, I'm just telling you, I'm gunning for that metal Ari, excuse me, the metal Ari token.
I like it. Ari is considered a good deck in both the West and in China right now. So we'll see. I mean, that deck definitely is on the rise. So there's definitely some experimentation still going. That was one of the big takeaways as well from Shanghai, is just how much the decks had evolved since the previous tournaments. Because finally there was a month of no massive tournaments. They had the city challenges, right? But the city challenges, I'm not going to consider that massive, right? It's best of one. It's different. They had time to experiment and figure out how they could try and attack the meta. And yes, they ended up on, hey, it is still Yi and Kai'Sa, but Aurora Yi wasn't it anymore. It wasn't winning against Kai'Sa, so the Yi players went back to more of the eggplant versions. I heard a lot of, they actually had this plan where you could play Aurora in game one and then side it out to play normal like ramp Yi to try and bait your opponent into bringing in Aurora hate. And it was apparently quite successful for a lot of Yi players. So there's a lot of different ways that these decks were trying to evolve and play around the meta. The winner, Omega Zero, had a very greedy main deck, playing 2 Time Warp, 2 Cathian Rain in the main deck to try and beat players in the mirror. So there was a lot of different things that were going on. So we're still seeing evolutions, and the meta being wider because of the best of prizing meant that a lot of players were able to take those home. I'm not sure if they actually got the cards yet. I haven't seen images, so I think it's like they were told that they will be getting it, and they got their information and they'll send them, because I haven't seen photos, and I think I would have seen photos if they handed them out.
You'd think that someone would have taken a picture somewhere. And
you would think so, but that does lead me to, we saw kind of singleton copies making the top cut, so we knew those people were going to win their best of prizing, and one of those players who would have won the best of prizing, there was a bit of scandal in the top 16. We mentioned a Teemo player made it that far. Well, unfortunately, that same Teemo player has now been banned for a year for cheating. They got their 3rd warning in the top 16 and were disqualified. And upon further review, it was proved that they were cheating by trying to stack the deck, essentially stacking their opponent's deck, right? To be clear on what was happening, they would be past their opponent's deck to cut the deck. And as is pretty normal in TCGs, they would pick it up and shuffle it a few times to make sure that, their opponent hadn't attempted to shuffle cheat them, I suppose, right? While they're doing that, they would be looking down at the deck and they would try and shuffle key cards to the bottom of their opponent's deck and then pass it back. And they were caught doing this multiple times, and they have since been banned for a year from competing in Riftbound. And because they had to forfeit their prizing, their Teemo best of prize went to the next best placing Teemo in the tournament. They will not be getting that one.
Yeah, that's if you've been playing card games as long as many of us have, you know that this is always going to happen. It's a tale as old as time, people cheating at card games. You may think, well, they were on camera. Why would they would never cheat if they were on camera? It's like, oh, sweet summer child. People will do that will happen. There's a lot of that happening. It's documented.
I think the funniest thing of all of it is one of the great things that there was even a tweet from LS recently about, one of the awesome things about Riftbound is they've eliminated essentially shuffling from the game, and it just opens up way less opportunities for people to cheat in the game, because shuffle cheating is pretty common in a lot of other games. There's not a lot of sleight of hand cheating that can happen. And even in things like One Piece, there's so many top of the deck searchers that people can kind of cheat in that way. Whereas in Riftbound, when you top of the deck search, it always goes to the bottom. So you can't even really cheat and put stuff back on top in that same vein. And then the very first kind of cheating scandal that we have out of competitive Riftbound is shuffle cheating. So it is quite funny that that's kind of how we ended up.
Okay, I'll take it. I took it last time. I'll take it again. Yeah, it's gonna happen. We've seen it. Bert and Cheaty, everyone knows, two explorers, et cetera, et cetera. It's just like, come on, do we really need to like? Maybe it's probably like it's a compulsion thing, like people can't. But like, I mean, really, are we doing this?
This is going to sound really weird because I'm not happy that it happened. However, I'm kind of happy that it happened. The reason for that is because I think that the longer something like this goes without your first precedent being set, the weirder, grayer, murkier it becomes when it comes to enforcement, right? The fact that this happened now at an early event, they slapped the ban on, we know what to expect going forward. We clearly see that judges are looking for that sort of thing. I hope that this will kind of be the example that will deter other bad actors, because it is a very new game. There's going to be a lot of people that are just learning the game. And, you know, like it or not, unfortunately, there will be people that will be using that to their advantage, whether that means, you know, trying to be a mechanic, right? Stacking your opponent's deck, stacking your own deck, whatever, because they're too worried about just the basics of the game to pay attention to those things, or even just rules sharking in general, right? I'm kind of happy that, again, we at least have a precedent. I'm not happy that it happened, but it's good that it's out in the open now.
No, it is good. I'm happy the response was also very swift and decisive, and it's here's a year ban. It's not like, oh, here's a few months, oh, here's a warning, here's what. No, ban for a year. See ya. Like if somebody wants to cheat in the future and gets caught at all, yep, there you go, year ban. See you later. Like maybe come back reformed next time, right? Like there was no fluffing around on it. It was just, there we go, you're gone.
Yep. And honestly, like, all things considered, not the worst like punishment in the world. Like for them, like, if, you know, benefit of the doubt, maybe they'll learn their lesson, come back and be reformed, and that's great. I think historically we've seen that not be the case, and you know, we'll see how it ends up playing out. But yeah, that's kind of crazy that it happened. I agree with you. Kind of pretty happy that it happened now, so that we've seen what will happen if you decide to do it. But let's move on to our favorite segment of the show. It is the mailbag, starting here from @RobinHQ. Says, I want to have an okay deck for TFT Paris. For TFT Paris Open, besides my crappy Jinx starter deck that I had to get secondhand with only 2 booster packs open in it total since I couldn't get any product. My question is it known when more product will be available? The singles market is looking insane in your guys' experience. How long does it usually take for prices to stabilize? Well, we talked a lot about sort of the first part of that question, so we won't dig into it deeper. But prices will generally stabilize in a couple of weeks, at least in my experience with Magic. Like, once the initial hype dies down, it will start to stabilize. Once we start to see more product get into the hands of people, we'll see that stabilize. Also, one notable thing: once we start seeing spoilers from set 2, set 1 is no longer a shiny new thing that we must have, and people are going to lose some amount of inherent interest. So we'll start to see the prices stabilize once we start seeing set 2 spoilers. Cass, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's the same, right? Like, I just think it will go down over time. I think second wave is when you're going to see the biggest price reductions on all of this stuff. Until then, I mean, I kept saying I doubt it'll climb more, and it's climbed more. So I don't know where that peak is going to end up, whether we're there already or whether it's going to have a little bit more climbing before that dip starts to come through. But I think a few weeks is probably correct.
Yeah, I just want the stuff to show up sooner. I mean, that's the reality, right? We don't know when it's going to come. We know the Riot's working on trying to get things out. We know that when they put the items in their shop for that second round of pre-orders for just the Riot store, I believe they said that those were going to be shipping in January, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
For some reason, I thought December, but I'm
might be late December. I think I was just resigned to probably not seeing them until January, because even if they ship them in December with holiday stuff and whatever.
Yeah.
Point is, though, it's coming. I wish it would get here sooner, but we don't know when it's going to get here. I don't know when things will truly stabilize, because the other thing that I don't think we've talked about quite enough yet is the longer that there's a drought in the first wave and a drought in the product being available, the longer something called price memory sets in. So if you're coming from other card games, there are certain cards that, they're staples. And when the market first settles down and everyone's just like, oh, that card is, worth $20 or whatever, it just kind of stays there. It kind of sets the floor. Even if the demand for it goes out the window, because people become so accustomed to, paying that for something, they're just also not willing to part with it for any less. So there is, I think, some danger in the secondary market kind of being artificially inflated if the second wave takes too long because of the price memory phenomenon. But I don't think that I don't think it'll be too bad here. I do think that we'll get the wave in time before that's too big of an issue.
Yeah. It also makes trading harder in local game stores because a lot of people just look up prices and compare prices when trading. And if those prices are inflated, the difference between cards may not be the correct, they might not be comparatively the correct price. And I heard this today when I was at my LGS, people talking about how they didn't really want to trade. No one wanted to buy cards because they're super expensive, but they also didn't want to trade because it's what am I going to give you 500 Heimerdingers for this Acathian Rain? It just doesn't make sense, right? Some of the cards are the air quotes correct price because they're not super wanted, but you just can't possibly trade for some of those higher end cards right now because they're just so exorbitantly high that it just wouldn't make sense to do it. So therefore, people just don't want to trade because they don't trust the prices. So another unintended effect there. But thank you there, Robin, and thank you everyone for watching and listening. If you want to get your comment on the show, leave a comment here on the YouTube channel for our mailbag. Definitely want to get to more of those. We love that segment of the show, but we are just out of time for this one. Riftbound is out, everyone. Celebrate with us. It has been awesome. In the life before Riftbound, we're now in post Riftbound. I don't know what I was going for there. We now are in post Riftbound world. We're post Riftbound podcast, and I love to see it. But for Casanova, for Charmer, for the Term Sideways crew, I've been Blevins. See ya.